Cryptocurrencies are my passion, my outlet in this crazy world of blockchain and bitcoins. It's a pity that my dear wife Susan does not share this passion at all. As soon as I mention Ethereum or Litecoins in her presence, she rolls her eyes and starts yawning, not even embarrassed. So I have to indulge in my hobby in proud solitude, while my better half watches her tearful soap operas. So when I got an email invitation to an international blockchain conference in a neighboring city, I nearly broke into a dance right in the middle of the living room. This is it, happiness. A whole 3 days surrounded by like-minded people speaking the same language, the language of cryptocurrencies. No eye-rolling, no sighs of, again with your little coins. Just paradise. "Honey, you won't believe it," I yelled, running into the kitchen where Susan was cooking her signature onion soup. "I've been invited to a blockchain conference. Can you imagine how much interesting stuff will be there?" "Oh yes, sounds incredibly fascinating," my wife drawled, stirring the concoction. "I'm sorry, honey, but the girls are waiting for me to go shopping this weekend. You'll have to go alone." What a disappointment. What a pain. Just kidding. I nearly jumped for joy. Freedom. No tedious shopping trips. No, buy me that red purse over there. Just me, the blockchain, and a couple hundred guys as obsessed with cryptocurrencies as I am. Beauty. "Of course, dear, I understand." I nodded with the most mournful look. "Don't worry, I'll manage. I won't get lost among my blockchain brothers." Susan merely grunted and returned to her soup, and I rushed off to pack my suitcase, whistling with anticipation. "Conference, wait for me. I hope you're ready for my unbridled enthusiasm and inexhaustible love for decentralized technologies." The first thing I saw when I stepped into the conference hall was a huge banner that read, "Welcome to the future of finance." And you know what? I believed it. This is it, my future. The hum of voices, the rustling of name tags, the clinking of coins. Kidding, what coins? Everything is digital now. It was more intoxicating than expensive whiskey. I rushed with the greed of a discoverer to the session on the impact of cryptocurrencies on the global economy. Oh, I'm about to hear something new. I'm about to get charged with knowledge like never before. I plopped down in a chair in anticipation and began looking around, searching for the speakers. And then my eyes stumbled upon a painfully familiar back of the head in the third row. That perfect bun, that majestic posture. It can't be. My mother-in-law, Barbara, in person. Now that's someone I didn't expect to see here. I just stood there with my mouth open. Barbara, eternally displeased with my weird computer games, suddenly at a blockchain conference? Is this a hidden camera? A prank? Or am I sleeping and seeing too realistic dreams? I was so shocked that I didn't immediately notice that the session had already begun. The speaker was talking about the revolutionary nature of blockchain, and I was staring at my mother-in-law, trying to digest this information. I need to talk to her during the break. Find out what kind of metamorphosis happened to the conservative housewife who just a month ago thought that Bitcoin was a vitamin for hair growth. When the session was finally over, I trotted over to Barbara. She was just gathering her things when I plopped down on the next chair. "Barbara, what a meeting!" I blurted out. "I didn't expect to see you here. I thought you weren't particularly fond of my crypto hobbies." My mother-in-law blushed deeply and smiled sheepishly. God, I didn't know she could do that. "Oh, John, you know, I've been reading a couple of articles about this blockchain of yours in my spare time. And you know what? I got hooked. Such prospects, such potential. So I decided to come and listen to some smart people. The conference is almost next to home. It would be a sin to miss the chance." My jaw dropped. My mother-in-law, who recently thought that mining was a weird hobby for miners, suddenly became a crypto enthusiast? Looks like the world has gone crazy and I didn't even notice. That's great, Barbara," I squeezed out, still not believing my ears. "I had no idea you were interested in investing. Do you want to spend the rest of the conference together? We'll discuss the latest trends, talk to experts. I'm sure you'll enjoy it." My mother-in-law's cheeks flushed even brighter, but she nodded vigorously. "With pleasure, John. I'd be happy to have company and advice from a pro. Lead me into the bright crypto future." I laughed and offered her my hand. Who would have thought? My mother-in-law and I are on the same wavelength. It looks like this conference is going to be even more interesting than I expected. For the next couple of days, Barbara and I were inseparable, like Bitcoin and blockchain. We went to lectures, discussed what we heard over lunch, built theories about the future of cryptocurrencies. It turned out that my mother-in-law was not just interested in the topic. She had already delved into the very essence and was now absorbing every bit of knowledge with the zeal of a novice. I looked at her with new eyes. Where did the prim woman who pursed her lips at the sight of my crypto charts go? Now her eyes were burning with enthusiasm. She kept reaching for a notebook to write down a particularly valuable thought. And when she started talking about the revolutionary potential of decentralization, I was completely speechless with admiration. "Barbara, you're a real investment guru," I joked, when we once again stayed up late in the hotel lobby, enthusiastically arguing about the prospects of Ethereum. "If this keeps up, you'll soon be giving me lectures." "Oh, come on, John, where do I stack up against you?" My mother-in-law waved off, smiling slyly. "I'm just a curious amateur, and you're a seasoned crypto wolf." Her smile made my chest feel warm for some reason. It's so strange to see something completely new and amazing in a familiar person. It's like falling in love all over again, only without the rosy snot and butterflies in the stomach. Although wait, it seems that the butterflies are just beginning to appear, especially when Barbara accidentally touched my hand while passing papers, or when she laughed at my jokes, throwing her head back so that I wanted to kiss her neck. Damn it, what am I thinking? She's my mother-in-law, my wife's mother. Get it together, you rag. But it was hard to pull myself together, especially when some kind of ambiguous notes began to slip into the conversations, almost flirting. Either Barbara would playfully note that the size of the blockchain is not the main thing, or I would joke that she and I should join a pool for more efficient mining. And we laugh and laugh like school children, not noticing, or not wanting to notice, how the distance between us is shrinking. It's all the conference's fault, I swear. All around are traders and investors, not a single pretty face to be distracted by. So lust sublimates into strange fantasies. It's okay, it will all be over soon. We'll go home to our families and forget about this misunderstanding. And in the meantime, we can flirt a little. Why not? We're not going to sleep together, really. Oh, if only I knew. On the third day, the conference reached its climax. Eminent speakers on stage, battles in the corridors, exchanging business cards and making useful acquaintances. And in the evening, everyone was waiting for a gala dinner on the roof of a skyscraper, with a view of the night city and a sea of champagne. All day, Barbara and I were on pins and needles. We ran from lecture to lecture, took notes, asked questions. By the evening, my head was spinning from the abundance of information and the anticipation of the upcoming fun. After all, the final party is not just any old thing, but real networking in action. And so, when dusk fell on the city, my mother-in-law and I, dressed up and radiant, went up to the roof. There were crowds of people. Champagne was flowing like water. A light breeze was blowing ladies' curls. Just beauty. Barbara and I didn't leave each other's side for a moment. Shared acquaintances, jokes that only the two of us understood, discussing the latest insider information from the world of crypto. And also, long glances, accidental, or not so accidental, touches, ambiguous hints. Damn, we were practically sparking with tension. It's a good thing there was someone else around, or we'd definitely have made a mess. At some point, the official part was over, and the guests began to disperse. And Barbara and I went out on the balcony to get some air and admire the view. The city at night sparkled with lights, like a Bitcoin wallet of a new Russian. Romance, damn it. "You know, Barbara," I said softly, looking at the flickering skyscrapers, "these days at the conference, it's been the best time in years. I'm not just talking about crypto, but also about you. I never thought we could get along so well. Thank you." My mother-in-law was silent, looking somewhere in the distance. And then she suddenly turned to me and looked me straight in the eye. Her gaze sent shivers down my spine. "John, I didn't expect it either. You've shown me a new side of yourself. So smart, passionate, sunny, as if you're not a son-in-law, but—" She hesitated and looked away. "Damn, I can't believe I'm saying this." And then my brakes finally failed. To hell with decency, to hell with morality. I grabbed Barbara by the shoulders, pulled her to me and kissed her. It was like a lightning strike. Bright, scorching, inevitable. She gasped, froze for a second, but then wrapped her arms around my neck and responded to the kiss with all the passion. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. My mind was telling me that this was wrong, that it was a betrayal. But my body wanted only one thing: to continue, to deepen, to bring it to an end. I don't know how we got to my room. I think we were kissing in the elevator like teenagers, getting tangled in our clothes and bumping into the walls of the cab. And then we fell on the bed, tearing off each other's shirts. It was like a feverish delirium: hands, lips, whispers. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just enjoying the moment, dissolving in the sensations. Barbara turned out to be an incredible lover, passionate, uninhibited, insatiable. I hadn't experienced such emotions even in college, let alone in married life. It was as if we had gone crazy, as if we were trying to make up for all the lost years. Caressing, stroking, kissing every hollow and bump, driving each other to frenzy. And then we lay, hugging, wet and exhausted, trying to catch our breath. A whole hurricane of emotions was raging inside me: delight, shame, tenderness, fear. What have we done? How can I look my wife and father-in-law in the eye now? What if someone finds out? Just the thought of it made me shiver. Barbara, too, seemed to have come to her senses and realized the full horror of the situation. She pulled away, swung her legs over the edge of the bed, and hugged herself, as if trying to warm up. A grimace of suffering froze on her face. "John, what have I done?" she whispered in a choked voice. "How could I do this to my daughter, to Richard? God, I'm a terrible person." My heart clenched in pain. This is it. The payback for a few hours of passion. The torment of conscience and the feeling of guilt. And okay, I'm a lustful stud thinking with the wrong head, but to drag Barbara into this, to make her suffer, unforgivable. "No, Barbara, it's not your fault at all," I objected hotly, trying to hug her shoulders. "It's me. I'm to blame for everything. I acted like a complete bastard. Forgive me, I beg you. Let's just forget about it, for all our sakes." My mother-in-law raised a tormented look at me, in which a whole storm of feelings was splashing. Was it as good for her as it was for me? Will she also remember this night with a shudder, both from shame and from arousal? "Yes, you're probably right," she answered quietly, looking away. "We'd better pretend that nothing happened, for the common good. This conference, everything that happened here, let it remain our secret only." I nodded, feeling a lump rising in my throat. Of course, she's right. It will be better for everyone this way. No one should know that a respectable family man had a fleeting romance with his own mother-in-law. It will break Susan's heart. It will destroy the family. It will make me a pariah in the eyes of society. But damn it, how good it felt with Barbara. It was as if for many years I had been walking around with a black and white filter on my eyes, and she suddenly turned on the color. She showed me how bright and full life can be. Do I really have to go back to the grayness and forget about the colors now? These thoughts made me want to howl out loud, but I just clenched my teeth and said hollowly, "Yes, I agree. Let it be our little secret. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?" Barbara chuckled mirthlessly and nodded. There were tears glistening on her cheeks. Unable to look at it, I turned away and stared out the window, where a gloomy dawn was breaking. How are we going to live with this secret now? Will we be able to pretend that nothing has changed? Will we be able to bury these feelings inside ourselves and never think about them again? Something told me that it was unlikely. It had affected me too deeply. I had realized too much about myself and my true desires. A sudden thought seared me, making me go cold. What if Susan someday feels the same way? What if her life also flares up with bright colors on someone else's sheets one day? After today, will I be able to judge her for it? For the first time in my life, I regretted that I didn't know how to put myself in someone else's shoes, to see the situation from a different angle. Empathy had never been my strong suit. Maybe it's time to learn before it's too late. The next morning, Barbara and I went our separate ways, hardly saying a word to each other. The weight of what had happened hung between us like a cloud, threatening to burst into a downpour at any moment. All the way I was thinking about how to behave with my wife, tell her the truth, keep silent and live with guilt, pretend that nothing happened. The last option made me sick, but the alternative seemed even worse. When I entered the apartment, Susan ran out into the hallway with a beaming smile. She hugged me, kissed me on the cheek, and began to chatter about how much she had missed me. And I stood there, thunderstruck, feeling like the ultimate traitor and scoundrel. My wife seemed to sense that something was wrong. She frowned and looked into my eyes. "Honey, is everything okay? You look terrible. Did something happen at the conference?" Oh my God, did something happen? If only you knew, dear. What happened and with whom? Would you have the strength to forgive me? Or would our family boat sink, unable to withstand such a storm? No, of course not. I squeezed out a fake smile. Everything is super. The conference was great. I learned so many interesting things. I'm just tired. So many impressions. Susan grunted incredulously, but didn't ask any more questions. Thank God, at least I was lucky in that. Otherwise, I would have spilled everything, turned myself inside out with guilt. The next few days passed as if in a fog. I went to work, smiled at my family, kept up conversations, but my thoughts kept returning to Barbara, to her scent, her passionate embraces. Damn it, how am I supposed to forget that? Apparently my pensiveness and detachment did not escape my wife's eyes. One evening, when we were going to bed, she suddenly asked, "John, are you sure everything is okay? You haven't been yourself lately. Maybe something happened and you're not telling me. You know you can trust me." Her anxious tone made me sick. This is it, the chance to confess everything, to repent, to take a load off my soul, to accept the punishment I deserve. But my tongue seemed to stick to my throat. I just couldn't take it and destroy the best thing in my life. "Sunshine, everything is fine, really," I mumbled, kissing my wife on the temple. "I just have a lot of work piled up. My head is spinning. You know how my job is, always burning deadlines, bosses raging. But I'll manage, don't worry." Susan sighed heavily but nodded and snuggled up to me. I hugged her, feeling my heart clench with tenderness. What an asshole I am, a real scumbag, betraying this wonderful woman who loves me and waits for me. And for what? For a fleeting affair? Unworthy. Disgusting. I have to put an end to this. I had almost decided to confess everything, come what may. It's better to have an honest fight and sort things out than to lie endlessly and beat myself up. But then my phone beeped, notifying me of a new message from an unknown number. With my heart pounding, I opened the SMS and went cold. There were only 2 lines. "Hi, John. We need to talk. It's important. Barbara." Damn. Is she going to tell Susan everything? Or worse, blackmail me to continue the affair? No, that's crazy. Barbara's not like that. She wanted to forget everything herself. With trembling hands, I typed a reply. "Okay, tomorrow at lunch, at that cafe near my work. It's better to find out right away what she wants, and pray that it doesn't ruin my life completely." God, what have I gotten myself into? How do I get out of this now? I feel like I won't get off easy. Oh well, we'll break through. This silly anecdote should have at least somewhat decent consequences. I went to meet Barbara as if I were going to the scaffold. Everything inside me was shaking with fear and jitters. What does she want? What does she need? Could it be a continuation of the feast? I'm not made of iron, for God's sake. I had just decided to quit adultery, and now this. But when I entered the cafe and saw my mother-in-law at the table, pale, with dark circles under her eyes and trembling hands, I realized it's bad. Did she really decide to turn us in? Just the thought of it made my stomach twist into a knot. "Hi, John, thanks for coming." Barbara smiled wearily as I plopped down across from her. "I know it's not easy for you right now. I feel shitty too, but we need to talk." "Barbara, listen," I pleaded. "Let's not do anything stupid, okay? We discussed everything, decided to forget and move on. Why reopen old wounds? Let's just—" "I'm pregnant." My mother-in-law interrupted me and looked me straight in the eye. It was as if the air had been knocked out of my lungs. "What? It can't be. How? I mean, are you sure?" was all I could squeeze out. Thoughts scurried like frightened cockroaches. "Arrived, damn it! Where to run, where to dig trenches?" "I'm sure," Barbara nodded grimly. 2 stripes, a delay, it all adds up. And stop shaking, it doesn't suit you. The child is definitely not yours, if that's what you're thinking about. I felt relieved. Phew, that was close. Although, wait a minute. If it's not from me, then from whom? Does Barbara have a lover? Then why the hell is she with me? "Don't look at me like that," my mother-in-law pulled me up. You'd think you're the only dear who came back from the conference as a different person. I have a personal life too, you know, and I've wanted a child for a long time, from the man I love. It finally dawned on me, so that's why she's so jittery. She got knocked up and the lover boy probably ran into the bushes. And I'm not even involved here, just an innocent victim of a dashing family. Although no, not so innocent. I'm also good, no need to point fingers at others. And what are you going to do now? I asked cautiously. Does the father know? Who is he anyway? Barbara sighed and lowered her eyes. Looks like the topic is really unpleasant for her. It's Frank, my fitness trainer. He and I have been, well, you know, for 6 months now. I thought we were serious, but it turned out to be just a light affair for variety. When he found out about the pregnancy, he ran away, the miserable coward. I whistled. Well, well, mother-in-law is burning. A fitness trainer, wow. And here I was, a fool, thinking that she only had a thing for sons-in-law. I'm sorry, Barbara, I sympathized. It turned out badly, but you hang in there, okay? If you need any help, just say the word. My mother-in-law raised her reddened eyes to me and smiled weakly. Thank you, John. You're a good boy. You know, actually, I'm really ashamed for everything that happened between us. Forgive me, will you? I'll never forgive myself for seducing my son-in-law and betraying my daughter, too. A lump rose to my throat. There she goes again, taking all the blame on herself. And what about me? Am I not involved? You'd think she dragged me to bed by force. Come on, Barbara, I objected resolutely. You didn't seduce me. I wanted it myself. I'm just as much to blame. So let's not point fingers and accuse each other. Better to think about how to live on with this truth. My mother-in-law shuddered and looked away. I could practically see the gears turning in her head, to tell or not to tell, to share or to conceal. Oh, I understand her. I myself have to choose between a rock and a hard place. You know, John, Barbara finally uttered, fiddling with a napkin. I can't tell Susan about you and me, and about the baby either. It would be too painful for her, poor thing. It will break her heart. And Richard's too. They don't need to know about my sins. I felt dizzy with relief. That's it, the solution to all problems. To keep silent, to hide, to maintain the status quo. The wolves are fed and the sheep are safe. Still, my mother-in-law is a wise woman. No wonder Stop. Better not to think about it. Barbara, I agree with you, I exhaled. Susan doesn't need to know, and no one else needs to know. This is just between you and me, our secret, and we'll keep it. Barbara looked at me with gratitude, and then she suddenly covered my hand with hers and squeezed it lightly. Thank you, John. Thank you for understanding, for not judging. You really are a good person, and I will never regret what happened between us, even if it's wrong. Something twinged inside me at her words. I wanted to jump up, hug her, spin her around, kiss her, but I restrained myself. It's not the time or the place. And anyway, enough, Finita. We need to live in the present and think about the future. Me too, Barbara. I don't regret anything, I nodded seriously. But we really should leave it all in the past, for the sake of our families, for our own sake. We both deserve a second chance, and I really hope that we can make it work. We were silent for a little while longer, looking into each other's eyes, and then Barbara resolutely removed her hand and rose from the table. Okay, I have to go. I still have a lot to do, and Richard must be waiting. You take care of yourself, okay? And take care of Susie. She's a treasure, not a daughter. Absolutely, I smiled, also getting up. And don't waste yourself. Neither on some asshole trainers nor on stupid sons-in-law. You'll soon have a little miracle. It will need its mom so much. Barbara snorted, and kissing me on the cheek in farewell, left. And I stood for a long time and looked after her, feeling a strange mixture of relief, longing, and hope spreading in my chest. It seems the storm has passed. No one will know about my secret with my mother-in-law. The family will remain intact. Everything will be as before. Only I will never be the same again. This strange, fleeting, impossible connection will forever remain in my memory, as a rebuke and as a blessing, as a reminder that there is always a place for passion, madness, and a second chance in life. The main thing is not to miss it. A year has passed since that memorable meeting in the cafe, a whole eternity by the standards of our crazy century. But you know what? It seems that I still managed to use it correctly. Barbara and I never spoke about what happened between us again. Not a single word, not a half hint, as if nothing had happened. Only sometimes I would catch her long gaze and barely noticeable understanding smile. But that's all. She gave birth to an adorable little girl, Nicole. When Richard found out, he nearly killed the unfaithful fitness trainer. But then he cooled down and accepted the baby as his own. Of course, such a cutie. Now the three of them are a real family, close-knit and loving. Susan and I are no slouches either. You know, after all these shocks, I suddenly realized I'm damn in love with my wife. And for some reason, I really wanted her to feel it. Every day, every minute. I started carrying her in my arms, both literally and figuratively, showering her with flowers and gifts, arranging surprises, taking an interest in her hobbies. Hell, I even signed up for yoga with her. And you know what? I liked it. It brings peace and harmony, damn it. And we also decided to have a baby. Yes, I'm not kidding. The doctors say that we are both young and healthy, so why not? I can imagine how delighted my little one will be with a cousin. They will definitely become friends with Nicole. In general, life is gradually getting better. Past grievances and mistakes are fading into the past. Ahead is only bright and joyful, a house full of children's laughter, a beloved wife by my side, loving relatives, yes, including my mother-in-law. What more could you ask for? But you know, sometimes I still remember my short, bright, crazy romance with Barbara. I remember and smile. Because no matter what they say, it was good. And let these memories remain just memories. But I know for sure, there was a moment in my life when I truly lived, felt, loved, soared, and you can't wish for more. At least not from a mother-in-law, definitely. Such passions are good only in moderation and in youth, and at a solid family age, stability, support, and loyalty are much more important. And I'm glad that I managed to understand this, even if not without some mistakes along the way. The main thing is the result, and I dare say it more than suits me. So take care of your mothers-in-law, gentlemen, but don't be too zealous, or you may get into trouble up to your, head. And remember, from love to hate and back is one step, or one crazy night at a cryptocurrency conference. That's the way it is. So the tale ends, and whoever listened is well done. I hope my experience will be useful to you in some way. At least it will help you not to get into a similar story. And I think I'll go. My wife is waiting. We have a romantic candlelit dinner tonight and conversations about the future, about our future together, bright and promising. After all, that's what's worth fighting for. That's what's worth living for. To love, to dream, to create, and to have no regrets. Good luck to you, friends. Take care of your loved ones. And remember, there is always a place for love in life. The main thing is not to miss it and not to be afraid, even if this love is just a brief moment. But what a moment! Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.